This is going to be the only guy you need to get started with Marksman in Blue Protocol Star Resonance. Marksman is a high damage range DPS that is very easy to play with some amazing party utility like grouping on the ultimate as well as team-wise party damage immune. For the global server launch, I'm going to be doing a completely free-to-play journey on a WoW Pack Marksman. So if you're interested to see how this class performs free-to-play, be sure to tune in on my live stream. Marksmen come in two major playstyles. The WoW Pack playstyles, which uses a wolf to do damage. It's kind of more like a druid, kind of like more like a summoners. Majority of the damage here is going to come from the wolf, and it's one of the easiest class to play in the entire game. It's very auto battle friendly, but yet it is still very strong. And then we have the Falconry playstyle, which scale more with crit. This is more like your traditional DPS, where your bird kind of do a coordinated attack every time you do a crit. This is more of a late game class. It's not very good early, but the Falconry playstyles is probably the easiest class to play in the entire game, and it's very friendly for beginners. By default, when you first get started in the game, you will be a basic marksman where you get the wolf. However, once you max out the first talent page and you have the access to the subclass, you're able to select to go into either the WoW Pack spec or the Falconry spec. The WoW Pack spec has been my main since the game launched in China, and I have a full Google document if you want to know more about the in-depth guide of it. But in this video, we're going to cover the very basic to get you started in the early game to the mid game. Let's start with the build. If you're trying to play the WoW Pack Marksman, your skill expertise is going to be Torn Valley, Arrow Rain, Wild Call, and then Focus. If you're trying to go the Falconry playstyles, then the only two skills you'll ever need is going to be Arrow Rain and Focus. Optionally, on both specs, you can take the Deter Shot, which allows your entire party up to 10 people to get attack damage immunity for 5 seconds, and is very good at extreme endgame dungeon like N18+. For both of these builds, we're going to be using the Muku Skull as well as the Bandit Skull for our starter purple Imagi, with a bigger focus on leveling the Muku Skull first. In the late game, when you are able to unlock the Muku Chef, ideally at tier 3 or higher, you can use it to replace the Bandit Skull, and this is true for both of the class. I highly recommend beginner player to go for the WoW Pack playstyles just because it's stronger early game, but it's also regarded to generally be the better playstyles between the two. Both class share the same ultimate, which is this like giant explosion thing. This is a very good ultimate because it will make a giant black hole that will group all the enemy in, and is extremely useful for mobbing capability. Your ultimate also apply vulnerability onto the enemy, and you apply 10% vulnerability, which is basically a damage boost for your entire party, but this is stacked with other damage boosts available in the game. In the early game, your main focus is going to be haste and mastery, with a way bigger emphasis on building masteries. However, in the late game, you actually do not want to actively build haste, but instead you want to switch to building mastery followed by versatility. With that being said, let's start off with the Beast Tamer, the WoW Pack spec Marksman. The WoW Pack spec Marksman is a very auto battle friendly class, so if you ever don't know what you're doing, just enable auto combo on every single one of your skills, and it kind of just works. But if you do want to know what you're doing, here's some quick tips. Starting off, the WoW Pack's Marksman is more like a burst class than a consistent DPS class, which is the Falconry playstyles. We're gonna start with the basic Storm Arrow. This fire a very quick attack. When you're at max 120 photon stacks, your Storm Arrow can stack up to 5 times, and your next Storm Arrow is going to enter the photon state, where you can just basically spam Storm Arrow. When you cast Storm Arrow like this, you do a coordinated attack with your wolf, which is where majority of your damage is going to come from. So your gameplay on WoW Pack Marksman is just mostly getting to 120 stacks and then spam Storm Arrow so that your wolf can do coordinated attack. Rain of Arrow. This is a skill that gives you a bunch of photon stacks at once, and generally speaking, you want to use this to just get photon stacks so that you can get into that photon state a little earlier. Torn Valley. This is a skill you use during your photon after you hit like 40 stacks, because it will pause the gauge and it'll give you a little bit of stack back so you can stay in the photon a little longer. Wild Call. This is a skill that summons an additional wolf, right here the red wolf, so that you can get more wolf to attack on the same time. Generally speaking, you want to use this off cooldown. Focus. Focus is like a buff skills. When you use it, you enter the focus state and you get this yellow border around your photon bar. It does two things. One, to give you a lot of haste, but two is that it reduces your Storm Arrow cooldown by half, so you can spam it significantly more during your photon state, and it's the bread and butter of bursting as a WoW Pack Marksman. You want to get to full stacks, pop focus, and then spam Storm Arrow. Your general gameplay on the Wild Pack Marksman looks something like this, where you want to arrow rain outside of Photon to get Photon stacks, and pop focus once you have full stacks, and then you just spam Storm Arrow. This is basically the main gameplay of Wild Pack Marksman. Now, this doesn't cover every single thing you need to know about min-maxing in terms of doing a Wild Pack Marksman build. I'll make a separate video, but I do also have a detailed Google Doc guide on everything you need to know about a Wild Pack Marksman, including a extremely detailed rotation if you're trying to min-max. Now, one of the things on Wild Pack Marksman is that you don't build crit, but you do build crit damage because your wolf are already guaranteed to crit. When you do unlock the corresponding talent, you can see right here, when you activate Wild Call, your wolf is bound to do critical damage. So you're 100% chance to crit every single time, which is why you want to build more crit damage without building crit rate. Speaking of talent tree, here's the current talent tree that I'm utilizing on my Wild Pack Marksman. So feel free to kind of copy and paste as a starter point. Let's move on to talking about the Falcon spec instead. When you play Falcon spec, your special attack get replaced by this Radiant Barrage skills. The way Falcon work is that you have a photon gauge similar to wolfbow, but when you have a full gauge, your special attack will get replaced by this like quad flare skills where you jump up and fire, and then otherwise that's it. And then otherwise you just kind of spam special attack like this, and then whenever it's full, just spam the quad flare. So you only really do normal attack and special attack. The main skills we're going to take is going to be Arrow Rain and Focus for two reasons. The Arrow Rain allow you to boost up the photon gauge really fast, just like Wolfbow, so allow you to spam more quad flare, and Focus likewise boost up some of the effect of your skills. Ideally, you have full stacks and then you pop Focus, and then you get a special benefit here when you do the quad flares and stuff like that. So this is the main gameplay of Falcon. It is very straightforward, it's very easy. By just spamming normal attack and special attack, you're able to do 96% of the damage compared to taking 2 additional skills, which is why some people do prefer to actually only do this like build. It's just so easy to play. You just spam all your button basically, and you're able to do 96% of the damage already. So like some people just don't care to get that last 4% of the damage. With that being said, if you do want to take 2 other skills as a Falcon build, you have some options. Most of the time, people like to take Power Draw and Radiant Barrage. Power Draw is a very quick to come out skills, especially when you have full Photon. When you have full Photon, the skills have no cast times. But when you don't, it has a slightly bigger cast time. So people just use it when you have full stacks and they just quickly pop it twice. Likewise, Radiant Barrage is the skills you want to pop right when you have full Photon. The skills you kind of jump up and just shoot down, but you get a bigger benefit when you do have a max photon stacks. Even better if you're able to have max stacks as well as aim focus, and then you cast your Radiant Barrage. Once again, the overall gameplay for Falcon is very simple. You just spam Arrow Rain, spam on your normal until you have max stacks, and then pop all your skills like that, and then finally end with the special attack. Now, Radiant Barrage do have a pretty big cast times, as you can see. So some people don't actually like this, and therefore they will instead opt for Blast Shot, which come out very quick and scale with crit. Blast Shot currently is just not a very good skill, so most of the Falcon player I know don't really like to take Blast Shots. That is the reason why the game actually recommend you to take Blast Shot, Radiant Barrage, as well as Power Draw, but a lot of people just prioritize using Arrow Rain to get additional Photon stack instead of taking Blast Shot right here. I can show you what Blast Shot does. Blast Shot scale with your crit, like the description say, you basically shoot it out very quickly like this, and then based on the number of crit you hit, you will get gain damage and then explode. The Blast Shot come out very quick compared to Radiant Barrage, which is why if you don't want to be as locked in on your animation, that is an option to consider as well. For the Falcon talent, there's a couple ways to build it because depending on the skills you take, you want to take different notes. This is the current one I have for starters for the build that you only use normal attack and special attack. You mainly want to prioritize all the nodes that do like interact with crit because Falcon is a class that scale extremely on crit. Right? However, you see that there are a couple other nodes here that are skill dependent, like Power Draw skill cooldown reduced by 50%. When Power Draw hit a target, you apply Steel Break. So you want to take these 2 nodes. If you're taking Power Draw There's 2 blast shot note at the very bottom, so you want to take these 2 note if you're taking blast shot and stuff like that. So the Falcon talent is a little bit more flexible. This only serves as a starter, but if you are looking to do the blast shot, radiant barrage, or power drop build, definitely change your skills around, right? Some of the skills that you can remove to get the point back will be something like pet do more damage to stronger target. You can take this out and stuff like that. For the stat for the Falcon spec, it recommend crit and haste, but the only stat you really care about is going to be crit. Ideally, you push crit to as high as possible, and haste is actually a stat not really worth building in my opinion, because haste is not that useful for Falconry. It is still nice to have a little bit, but it can come from your agility. The secondary stat that you actually want to build is actually going to be mastery followed by versatility, because mastery provide elemental damage while versatility provide all damage increase. With that being said, hopefully this video served as a starter guide to your marksman journey in Blue Protocol Star Descendants. As always, as a quick reminder, I do stream regularly on Twitch. If you do have questions about the marksman guide, I can answer all of them right there whenever I'm live. So with that being said, if you're not subscribed already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, because there's going to be a lot more content coming. See you guys next time.